Okay, before we start with these, I want to do some review problems first, solve the equations. Now, you don't have to write this next thing down. The first equation we have is 5x to the second minus 10x equals 0. Now, we actually taught you how to do that before we closed down. Now, remember, if it has an x second, it's called a quadratic equation. There's two answers, okay? So down here in the corner, just put the two answers. Now, you need to label your a and your b. There's an a, if it has an x squared attached, it's an a. If it has an x attached, it's a b, okay? 0 doesn't count. Never label the 0. So there's no c. There's just an a and a b, okay? First, you make sure you're equal to 0, which you are, and then you make your GCF. Line, parentheses, equals 0. If you don't put it in a box, that's fine. Okay, 5 and 10, the GCF out of 5 and 10 is 5, okay? And also we have x second and x to the first, so we also need to put an x with the 5, okay? So then we divide by 5x. When I'm dividing by x, the x's cancel on the last line. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. X second divided by x is x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Then you put a parentheses and you do your F1, F2. Okay? So F1, 5 times x could equal 0, or F2, 1x minus 2 could equal 0. So 5x means 5 times x, so we just need to divide by 5, and I get 0 for my first answer. 0 divided by 5 is 5. Then I need to add 2. So 0 plus 2 is 2. Then you can divide by 1, or just 2 divided by 1 is 2. Okay. We'll be doing about 2 problems per page here. Okay. Now the next one I want to do is x to the second minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Okay, so there are 2 answers. This time, though, you have an a, which is a 1, okay? I'm not going to put the 1 there, but that's an a term. Here, I'll put 1, what the heck. And then b, and then there's a c. So when I solve an ABC quadratic equation, first I'll talk about the GCF. And then I'm going to make a place where I do my table. Okay, 1, 3, and 10 would just be 1, okay? And then I can't do x because there's that number at the end without the x, so the GCF's kind of null and void. I wouldn't do it, okay? Then I take a times c. 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. So it's a positive times a negative. That's how we multiply 2 numbers to get a negative, and I need them to add up to negative 3. So 1 and 10, nope, doesn't do it. Divide by 2, you get 5. Okay, that'll do it. Okay. Now, what is your a equal? Your a is just a 1. Okay. If it's a 1, you can get rid of it, and you can just write x plus 2, x minus 5. Just 2 parentheses. Okay. Okay. Now, what I've done is I've rewritten that. Okay. I'm going to go up alongside this and just put equals 0, and I'm going to rewrite that side as x plus 2 times x minus 5. But unlike the last assignment, that's not your answer. You just go one step further. You F1, F2, okay? X plus 2 could equal 0, x minus 5 could equal 0. So I minus 2, 0 take away 2 is negative 2. Plus 5, 0 plus 5 is 5. Okay, so those are the 2 answers. Now I've got some examples here. Okay. Example 1, 16x to the second power plus 18x plus 5 equals 0. Okay, so we know there's 2 answers, and we'll do 2 problems per page. That's how I'll set up my work. Okay, we have an A, a B, and a C. So again, an A, a B, a C. First off, if you want to skip the GCF box today, that's fine. Just go GCF outside. And if you could find anything worthy, like 16, 18, 5, you'd have 5, but there's no 16, no 18. So that would just be 1, and I can't put an X with the 1 because the 5 doesn't have an X. So we just will skip the GCF step, okay? You at least want to think about it, but if the GCF's just 1, it's not worth doing. Okay, then let's make our t-table. So 16 times 5, positive 16 times positive 5 is positive 80. So negative, negative. We're trying to add to positive 18. I'll probably go back and switch it to positive, positive, but let's see if we can get 18 first. 1 and 80, nope. 2 and 40, nope. 80 divided by 3 is a decimal, so we won't put that. 4 and 20, nope. Divide by 5, get 16, nope. 6 a decimal, 80 divided by 7 is a decimal. 80 divided by 8 is 10. Okay, if I add those, that's 18, but it's negative 18. To get it to positive 18, just go plus, plus. Now, what's your A equal here? Okay, your A is 16. Okay, so to get that down, if it's not a 1, we need 2 sets of parentheses. Okay, so 16, 16, followed by x, x plus 8 plus 10. Now divide those down by the greatest common factor. Okay. So 16 and 8, 8, there's 16, so 8 would be the greatest common factor. So I divide by 8, it's 2x plus 1. 16 and 10, 10, no, it wouldn't be 10. Wouldn't be 5. Yeah, it'd be 2, okay? So 2. So that's 8x plus 5. Cross that out after you divide it. Now, what you've done is you've rewritten that as 2x plus 1 times 8x plus 5, and now it's equal to 0. Now you do your F1, your F2, okay? So 2x plus 1 could equal 0, or 8x plus 5 could equal 0. So you have to minus 1, that takes us to negative 1, 2x equals negative 1, divide by 2. If it's a fraction like that and it's not going to be a whole number, just put negative 1/2. That's your first answer. Minus 5, 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Divide by 8, that's a decimal too, so we'll put negative 5/8. So those are your two answers, negative 1/2, negative 5/8. And that's going to happen a lot where they're fractions here today. Okay, next one, 12x to the second minus 11x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so there are two answers. Any x second's going to have two answers. Some of you are like, if it had x third, would there be 3? Yeah, we'd have at least try to get 3. Okay, we have A, B, C. All these are A, B, C. So you want to see if you have a GCF. Only make the box if it's something besides just 1. 12, 11, and 2. So 2, nope. And then X you can't do. So the GCF's 1, so we'll just not do it. We'll just go to because I know there's only a limited space in your notebook. Okay, we take the A times the C. 12 times 2 is 24 positive. So this way to multiply, find two factors of a positive is if the signs are the same. Negative, negative. And we'll add to try to get to negative 11. So 12 divided by 1 is 24, nope. Divide by 2, you get 12, nope. Divide by 3, you get 8, bingo. Okay, that's negative 11, and I want it to be negative, so don't change the signs. Okay, A is 12, so again, when it's 12, when it's not a 1, okay, when your A is not a 1, you need to deal with it with 4 parentheses. You simplify it down. So 12, 12, then I go x minus 3, x minus 8. So 12 and 3, well here's 3, here's 12, so we'd want to divide by 3. That takes us to 4x minus 1. okay? And that's our F1. 12 and 8, find 8, there's no 12. Here's 8 again with a 12, so it would be 4. So 3x minus 2, that's F2. Remember, all I've done is taken this expression and rewritten it because this is equal to 4x minus 1 times 3x minus 2. And then the 0 just stays like it is. So 4x minus 1 could equal 0. 3x minus 2 could equal 0. So I add 1. So 4x equals 1 divided by 4. Just keep that as 1/4. Add 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. Divide by 3, just keep it as 2/3. So the answers are 1/4 and 2/3. Okay, next one. 3x to the power of 2 plus 19x plus 6 equals 0. So you have two answers because you know you got A, B, C. Okay. So this is what to do if there's an A and a B. The GCF just takes care of everything. ABC is a little more complicated. AC is actually really easy. Okay. So see if you have a GCF. Only make that box if you actually would have one other than 1. 3, 19, and 6. Nope. Just 1 again. Okay. I think they're all 1. Now, if I was able to do like a 2, I would be making it and doing it, but I don't. Okay, 3 times 6, that's going to be 18. Negative, negative, we want to add to get to positive 19. Okay. Okay, that right there is negative 19, so I just need to make them both plus, and then I'm good. Now, A is 3, so if it's 3, we want to make 2 sets of parentheses. 3, 3, x, x, plus 1, plus 18. Now that one stays the same. That's still 3x plus 1. So that would be the first factor, F1. 3 and 18. There's 3, there's 18, so we're going to divide by 3. 1x plus 6. Okay, so those are your two factors. You have 3x plus 1 to equal 0 or 1x plus 6 to equal 0. So we minus 1, and that's negative 1. Divide by 3. That's just a fraction, negative 1/3. If you want to make it a decimal, you can. It's up to you. I usually it goes quicker if I just put them as fractions. Negative 6, you don't need to divide by 1, it'd just be negative 6. So those are your two answers, negative 1/3 and negative 6 whole. Okay, the next example, 8x to the power of 2 minus 6x minus 5 equals 0. So we have two solutions, and it's a quadrant. It's A, B, and C. Okay. Make sure you're equal to 0. I have been on every problem yet. Okay. One thing, when you do on your assignment, when you do number 6, you got to make sure before you start your whole process, you got to move that 5 over. It goes 7x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, so just remember that. Okay. See if you even need to do a GCF. 8, 6, and 5, I think it's just 1. Okay. Yep, sure is. So 8 times negative 5, that's going to give me negative 40. Okay, we have a negative now, so that's got to be positive times a negative this time. We're adding to try to get to negative 6. 1 and 40, nope. Divide by 2, you get 20. That would not add to negative 6. 3 is a decimal. How about 4 and 10? Bingo. And I want it to be negative 6, so I keep the sign on the bigger number. Okay, your A is 8 up there, so you're going to need, again, 2 sets of the parentheses, not just one, because you got to go 8x. You'll break down the 8 using this method, okay? It will work every time if you do it right. 8 and 4. Okay, here's 4, here's 8, so you're going to divide by 4. And that's going to be 2x plus 1, and that's your first factor. 8 and 10. There's 8, there's 10, so 2. That's your second. That's your second factor. Put that equal to 0, because this equals this. Okay. So 2x plus 1 equals 0. 4x minus 5 equals 0. So you're going to take the 1 away. That gets us negative 1. Divide by 2, and that's negative 1/2. You're going to add 5. So 4 times x equals 5. Then since that's a decimal, we'll just leave it 5/4. Don't worry about making it into a mixed number, 1 and 1/4. I don't need you to do that. Okay, next one, we've got 2x to the second plus 1x minus 10 equals 0. So again, a quadratic equation, 2 answers. Okay, you got your A, your B, your C. Make sure all of them are on one side with the 0 on the other. They're good. GCF. See if you have to make a box for it first. No, because 2, 1, and 10 would just be 1. And then, okay, 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. Okay, so that's a positive times a negative. Again, you always take your A times your C. So we're trying to add to get to positive 1. Nope. Divide by 2, you get 20. Nope. Divide by 3, you get a decimal. So nope. Divide by 4, you get 5. Cha-ching. That would be negative 1. To make it plus 1, we go plus 5 minus 4. Alright, so A is going to be, A is just 2. So again, you need to compensate for that by 2x minus 4 plus 5. Okay, 2 and 4. 2 and 4 are in the second row. So it's going to be 1x minus 2. 2 and 5 are in the first row, so 2x plus 5. So that's F1, that's F2, okay? All I've done is break this down into this times this. That's all I've done, okay? So 1x minus 2 equals 0. 2x plus 5 equals 0. So we add 2, gives me 2. Divide by 1 would still be 2. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Divide by 2, just negative 5 over 2. If it's a decimal, you can just leave it like that. Okay, I got 2 more to do. 2x second minus 11x plus 5 equals 0. So there's 2 solutions, because it's, again, x squared is a quadratic equation. It's got 2 answers. You need to make sure you're equal to 0, okay? Which you are. See if you have to do a GCF, okay? 2, 11, and 5, no, that would just be 1 again, okay? Again, I don't make that box because dividing by 1's stupid, okay? So, okay, 2 times 5 is 10, positive. I'm trying to add to make negative 11. Okay, 10 divided by 1 is 10, and that right away, that adds to negative 11. We're good, okay? My A is 2, so again, I need to rewrite this expression as first with 2x, 2x, minus 1, minus 10. Okay, whatever that is. 2 and 1, that wouldn't be able to change. Okay, so that's your first factor. That would go in the first parentheses. You're trying to rewrite this using 2 parentheses is what you're trying to do. 2 and 10 divide by 2. So it's going to be 1x minus 5. By the way, another thing I need to remind you guys, if you have like a 4x and a 4, then you divide by 4. Okay, like a 3x and a 3, divide by 3. You don't just leave it. Okay. So 2x minus 1 equals 0, 1x minus 5 equals 0. Plus 1, 2x equals 1, divide by 2. That'd be 1/2. Okay. Plus 5, that's 5. So that'd be 5 over, get rid of the 1, it's 5. Okay, last problem. This one's kind of a weird one, but we're going to solve it anyway. First off, get rid of that parentheses, okay? You're going to take 1x, and then not times the 2. The 2's on the other side. 1x times 20x and 1x times negative 3. So that gives us 20x to the second and negative 3x, okay? Okay, now we have a quadratic equation, 2 answers. That's A, that's B, that's C, but we can't start our process we're familiar with because we're not equal to 0. So if I'm not equal to 0, I go blank x squared plus blank x plus blank equals 0. Okay? Now, A, I just got 20. B, I got negative 3. C, I have 2, but the 2 has to come over here, so it will be a negative 2. Okay, now I can roll. GCF, do I even need to do it? 23 and 2. 2 has 20, but there's no 3, so it's just 1. So I go from there. 20 times negative 2 is negative 40, so it's a positive times a negative. We are adding to try to get negative 3. Nope. 40 divided by 2 is 20. Nope. 3 is a decimal. 40 divided by 4 is 10. Nope. 40 divided by 5 would be 8, and right there we have it. Okay, and it's negative 3. I don't switch the signs. Okay, A is 20. So you bet we're starting with 20x and 20x. Plus 5 minus 8. Now, if 20 and 5, find the 5th row. There's 20, so we divide by 5. So it's 4x plus 1. 20 and 8. 8, there's no 20, so let's look up. Here's 8, here's 20, so we're dividing by 4 here. 5x minus 2. Okay, so F1, 4x plus 1 equals 0, 5x minus 2 equals 0. So I minus 1, we get negative 1, divided by 4, and that's negative 1/4. Add 2, we get 2, 5x equals 2, divide by 5, and that's 2/5. Okay.